now that it looks like the supporting cast of Will Levis, second-year quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, has taken shape, let's look at some of these second-year quarterbacks, and we'll rate their supporting cast. And let me say in advance, I don't want this to be a social media thing, because all these people saying you're a moron for saying it was 7, 8, and 9. You have no idea how many of my mentions are flooded with people reacting to these social media posts that I strenuously object to. So I doubt that my objection is going to change anything.
I hope not.
With that said, Tennessee Titans around Will Levis, what is their supporting cast on a scale of 1 to 10, Christopher?
Well, Levis, you like Hopkins. We know he's still solid, maybe better than solid. I think he surprised me last year, actually, with how well he played. I'm not even going to lie. Calvin Ridley, I still think going upwards, right? I don't even think we saw the best of Calvin Ridley last year, and we saw a lot of damn good. The running back situation, I like it there. And Okonkwo at tight end, he's a freaky athlete. I think it's like a little bit better than people want to give it credit for here, but I'm going to go 6.5 for right now, right? I'm going to go 6.5, right? I thought about 7, but I got to feel this out and the rest of the division here a little bit. But, yeah, it's one there. It's potential, but I'm not ready to sit here and go, oh, wow, it's ready to kick some butt here. It's like I got to see a little bit first to believe it all.
Here's the reality, and this, I guess, fits with what we were talking about as it relates to Will Levis at the top of the segment. The clothes make the man. The quarterback makes the supporting cast. So I'm factoring in my opinion of the Titans supporting cast by what I think Will Levis is going to be in year 2. I feel like he's got more years to get to his ceiling, and I think his ceiling might be lower than maybe the guy we're going to talk about next who's in Indianapolis. So I'm inclined to say I'll go 6. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is close to the end. Calvin Ridley, we think he's going to be great. He was better than expected last year after being off for minimum of a full season for the gambling suspension. I don't know what Tony Pollard's got left in the tank after the injuries. I don't know how much he's going to impact that offense. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's a significant change for him. His entire career spent in Dallas. Let's see what happens there. I think they got a lot of guys where I'm just going to say, let's see how they do this year. So I'll go 6 for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I hear you. It is one where, you do. You got to see it to believe it a little bit. You guys go, wait, is Hopkins, did he fall off a little bit, right? I think that's a big part of that. I think the same question with Boyd, really, too. And I think there's that thought out there with him. And then, of course, your Pollard thing's real as well. And, I don't know if we're concluding offensive line in these conversations as well, but as we know, in Tennessee, that's kind of a work in progress, and they're trying to change around that position on their football team as well.
We're not specifically, but indirectly, that's part of it too, because how well everyone does is going to hinge on how well the blockers do, the overrated or underrated, slight difference there, aspect of the offense that we don't notice when everything's going well because we're so caught up in what the skill position players are doing for our fantasy teams. All right, the Colts and quarterback Anthony Richardson, his supporting cast led by Jonathan Taylor, who was the best running back in the NFL until injuries struck in 2022, and then there were contract issues last year, and injuries also limited his availability. When Richardson comes back healthy this year, you look at who he has. Michael Pittman with the big contract. Josh Downs. Rookie Adonai Mitchell. We always get that first name wrong. I always make myself wonder, I got to get this right, and I got to do it 50 times to get the proper accents right. Adonai Mitchell? Adonai Mitchell?
Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai?
Yes.
The one that doesn't sound right is the right one. Adonai Mitchell. So anyway, scale of 1 to 10. Give me the supporting cast for Anthony Richardson in year 2 with the Colts.
Right. They got a good O-line. I think that's the first thing. You talk about that, and I think where they are, their O-line, I think they're in a better spot than the Tennessee Titans. Running back, certainly in a better spot, right? I mean, Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, arguably the best running back in football. And I think at the receiver position, you're with a lot of guys with the arrow pointing up. Like Michael Pittman Jr. still going up. Like Josh Downs, it's only going to get better. Adonai Mitchell, what you talk about, he's got big-time potential. And Alec Pierce isn't even on there, who came on late towards the year last year,
yes.
Finally. So I honestly like this group a little bit better than the Tennessee Titans. I know that Hopkins name and the Calvin Ridley name, people look at that and go stars, and I think they think, oh wow, that's got to be better. I'm going to say this group's a 7. I'm going to give it a little bit of a bump over the Tennessee Titan group there.
I'm going 7.5 because, again, the clothes make the man, the quarterback make the supporting cast. I think Anthony Richardson, if healthy, is going to be significantly better this year than Will Levis. So that's going to make the guys around him better too. If the threat of Anthony Richardson running the ball is going to make it easier
how do you
to
balance
throw the ball,
that?
then guys that were like, oh, this guy's having a big year. Why is he having a big year? Because he's open, because everybody's – and Jonathan Taylor, they've drawn guys to the line of scrimmage. So I think that the Colts will be better off offensively because of Anthony Richardson's presence, which is causing me to skew toward a 7.5.
But even if you took the quarterbacks out of the situation, you're still giving the Colts the edge, I think, right? A little bit here?
Yeah, I'm giving a little bit of an edge. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, Pittman got the big contract. And so now, with the recent addition of Rashad Penny, very crowded backfield in Carolina. They drafted Jonathan Brooks, already had Chuba Hubbard. They've got Deontay Johnson they acquired in trade with the Steelers. Adam Thielen signed last year as a free agent. Xavier Legette drafted this year in round 1. They traded up to get him after he basically told the world that the Panthers had made it clear to him they're going to draft him, a.k.a. please somebody else jump over them and draft me instead. How do you like that group of weapons around Bryce Young as he tries to have a better year 2 than he had in year 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's an improvement, that's for sure, right? I don't think it's as good as the 2 teams that we just talked about previously, though, right? I know they added Jatavion Sanders, the Texas tight end in the 4th round, right? So to me, this is definitely one of like, I got to see it first. There's too many I got to see it, like, people in this, right? One, the running back situation and how that works out. Chuba Hubbard's a good player, no doubt about it. But, hey, Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL injury. Where's he going to be this year? I don't know. We're specifically talking about this year. Okay, so there's that. Rashad Penny's had an injury history. Adam Thielen's getting up there in years, right? It's good, but it's not like, you want him to take over the game guy anymore, all right? Deontay Johnson, we know, has been a little bit all over the place. Xavier Legette is a specimen who's raw and needs work. Tommy Tremble is a guy that hasn't stapled himself down as a household name at the tight end position yet. So that's where it's like there's growth to be had there in Carolina. I'm not ready to sit here and go, oh, yeah, it's improved, and they're definitely going to be, a real force in the NFC South and the NFC. I'll go 5.5 here. I think out of the teams we've talked about so far, it is still the least between, who was that, the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm going to go 5, and again, I'm influenced by what we saw last year, and they can prove us wrong. And feel free. I mean, look, we got to make these assessments based upon the information that's available to us. But coaching change, Bryce Young last year, that comparison to C.J. Stroud, it's just hard to shake it. And maybe it's a 180. Maybe he's great this year and C.J. Stroud isn't. But what did you say? Did you say 5.5?
I think I said 5.5, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go 5. I'll go 5.
Yeah.
These players need to come together and prove it to me. Dave Canales had the 1 year as offensive coordinator, parlayed that into becoming a head coach. I have a feeling that's a job that wasn't on the short list for a lot of the folks with options because of the whole Tepper dynamic and what happened with Frank Reich last year, or Reich, as the case may be.
Hats off to Frank Reich.
Respect him. Hats off to Frank Reich, and if you get too close to me, I'll throw my drink on you. Okay, the next one, C.J. Stroud, the 2nd overall pick last year, was great. Took the team that no one would have thought could make it to the playoffs in the AFC to the top of the AFC West, blew out the Browns in the wild card round, gave the Ravens a strong first half in the divisional round. They now have Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon on top of the existing core. Dameon Pierce, the running back who was great as a rookie, and then where is he now? Here comes Joe Mixon. They got some players. Dalton Schultz back again. Tank Dell and Nico Collins. And again, I'm influenced by the quality of the quarterback.
Well,
Chris,
yeah.
This is going to be the highest number for either of us, I think.
Well, it definitely is. And I mean, yeah, they struck gold at quarterback. We know that, right? I mean, he's special. Arguably the greatest rookie year we've ever seen. It's him or Dan Marino. right? I mean, he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL already. And, hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right? Because I've thrown a lot of praise at the Texans and C.J. Stroud and that draft and all that. And let me just tell you how many people I had during this year's draft process go, I've heard Houston, by far, Bryce Young was their number one quarterback on the board, just so you know, right? Yeah, they're geniuses, all right, but they got to take the guy they wanted second, right? So they hit gold there. They really did.
Thank you, Lovie Smith.
I know, right?
Thank you, Lovie Smith,
for
winning that last game
right
on the way out the door.
So CJ is phenomenal. We know that. But, I mean, I think even if you take him out of this equation, you go, damn, there's some stuff to work with there. Right? It's a two-headed monster at running back. Their O-line, when healthy, I think is sneaky one of the better O-lines in all of football. Right? So you got that, and then you couple that with the receiving core and the tight ends and what they got there. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty damn special group when you break it down. Nico Collins, I think because he finally got a quarterback, we saw how good he actually is and what he can do. And then you add that with Stephon Diggs, and we know Tank Dell kicking some butt. Oh, what am I going to do here? I'm going to go in 8. I think I'm going to go in 8. I think that's about where I'm at here. I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's the best in the league, right? And but it's up in that conversation. I think there's probably a few teams in football we'd pick over them, but not too many.
I'm going to see your 8 and raise it to an 8.5 just because I haven't been agreeing with you on any of these. I think they've got the potential to be special. We talked about this yesterday. Circumstances are different. Everybody's back in the valley of 0-0. Schedule is going to be more difficult this year. They're not going to be tucked in at 1 o'clock Eastern every Sunday, developing that rhythm. When they fail, it's going to be a bigger deal. When they lost last year, it was just like, whoa, what do we expect? It's the Texans. They're not supposed to be any good.
Right.
And they win. It's like, oh, hey, cute little Texans. Look at that. Oh, attaboy. Keep on going. And, maybe you'll win 5 games this year.
Right.
This year, everything they do is going to be scrutinized. But even with that, they've got the potential. They've got the pieces. And I believe enough in D'Amico Ryans, who should have been coach of the year last year, to keep them focused. Even though it's going to be a different challenge than it was last year, I think they're going to pull it off. And C.J. Stroud is the epitome of we don't know what's going to happen until the guy gets to the NFL. We don't know. And look, the Texans had that guy with Deshaun Watson. We didn't know what he was going to do until he got to the NFL, and he got better. C.J. Stroud came to the NFL, and he got better. There was just something that you weren't going to know about. That's why it's also inexact at the draft time. You don't know until they go do it. And C.J. Stroud was great, and we'll see if he can follow it up. We'll see what happens when everybody loves C.J. Stroud, and he's touring the world with Micah Parsons, and let's see if defensive coordinators have spent a lot of time trying to come up with ways to confound C.J. Stroud, Chris.
Yeah.
We'll find out if they can do it this year.
That's right. No, I mean, hey, team roster-wise, right? You look at Houston and you go, yeah, they're ready. The window's open. Let's go. It's go time. I mean, it was a good draft. It was phenomenal free agency, right? So, yeah, it is. We hit on it yesterday. You're hitting on it again. That's the question to me. It's just the handling of the success, the bullseye, the expectations. How do they do in that department? Right, and it's going to be a totally different year. I had a little conversation with Devin McCourty yesterday, and yeah, we're positive, of course, about Houston. How could you not be? You like both sides of the ball, but right, like you're saying, like the year could be different. They'd be one of the teams I'd go, hey, I'd love or dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'd love to see Houston at Kansas City week 1 to kick off the NFL season. Stroud versus Mahomes, all of that talk, all of that. But to that point, too, like you're talking about, whoa, you're here. The big lights are on you. You're in prime time. You might be in prime time in week 2. I don't know. All of a sudden, you're 0-2 because you played 2 really good football teams and things are different. And that's the thing I think we just got to see. Can Houston handle that aspect, which I think they will be able to, but, we still are fair to question it.
Every year when you reset, that is one of the realities. How do you handle success? Is it just something that comes and goes, or are you primed to be a contender year in and year out? We will see how it plays out for the Texans and the other second-year quarterback. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.